Jeffrey Lionel Dahmer was one of the most notorious serial killers of the 20th century. Between the years of 1978 to 1991, he killed 17 men. Dahmer was born May 21, 1960, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and lived a fairly normal childhood. At age 4, he had a surgery to correct a double hernia, which seemed to completely change him. He continued to withdraw himself, especially into his teenage years, where he was very tense and had little to no friends. Dahmer had begun getting urges towards necrophilia and murder around 14, but after his parents' divorce, his thoughts turned into action. Dahmer also began drinking at a young age. His first murder occurred just after he graduated high school in June 1978. It was a hitchhiker named Stephen Hicks. Dahmer got the man drunk. When Hicks decided it was time to leave, Dahmer struck him with a barbell, then proceeded to dismember the body. He later crushed the bones and spread them in a wooded area, all in his parents' home. By this time, Dahmer was now a bona fide alcoholic. He dropped out of Ohio State University, and his father insisted he join the Army. As we know, he did not kill during his time serving his country. When he was discharged, he was sent to live with his grandmother. He killed 2 more there until his grandmother got sick of his drunkenness. In March 1989, he drugged, strangled, sodomized, photographed, dismembered, and disposed of Anthony Sears, an aspiring model. Dahmer's victim count accelerated, bringing his total from 4 to 17. He developed rituals as he progressed, experimenting with chemical means of disposal, and often consuming the flesh of his victims. Dahmer also attempted crude lobotomies, drilling into his victims' skulls while they were still alive and injecting them with acid. He was careful to select victims on the fringes of society, making their disappearances less noticeable. On May 27, 1991, Dahmer's neighbor Sandra Smith called the police to report that an Asian boy was running naked in the street. When the police arrived, the boy was incoherent, and they accepted the word of Dahmer, a white man in a largely poor African-American community, that the boy was his 19-year-old boyfriend. The police escorted Dahmer and the boy home, and, clearly not wishing to become embroiled in a homosexual domestic disturbance, took a short look around before leaving. Once the police left the scene, Dahmer killed the boy and proceeded with his usual rituals. Had they conducted even a basic search, police officers would have found the body of Dahmer's 12th victim, Tony Hughes. Before he was finally arrested on July 22, 1991, he killed 4 more men. When Dahmer was finally arrested, his original plea was not guilty. But then it changed. He pled to guilty by virtue of insanity. His defense then offered the gruesome details of his behavior as proof that only someone insane could commit such terrible acts. But that was the truth. He was mentally ill from a very young age, and even with the gruesome acts he committed, people seemed to look past that fact. November 28, 1994, Christopher Scarver, another inmate, killed Jeffrey Dahmer. In 2015, Scarver alleged that he was not disturbed only by Dahmer's crimes, but by a habit Dahmer had developed by fashioning severed limbs from prison food to antagonize other inmates. After being taunted by Dahmer during their work detail, Scarver said that he confronted Dahmer about his crimes before beating him to death.
Your Honor, it is over now. This has never been a case of trying to get free. I didn't ever want freedom. Frankly, I wanted death for myself. This was a case to tell the world that I did what I did not for reasons of hate. I hated no one. I knew I was sick or evil or both. Now I believe I was sick. The doctors have told me about my sickness, and now I have some peace. I know how much harm I have caused. I tried to do the best I could after the arrest to make amends, but no matter what I did, I could not undo the terrible harm I have caused. I feel so bad for what I did to those poor families, and I understand their rightful hate. I decided to go through this trial for a number of reasons. One of the reasons was to let the world know that these were not hate crimes. I wanted the world in Milwaukee, which I deeply hurt, to know the truth of what I did. I didn't want unanswered questions. All the questions have now been answered. I wanted to find out just what it was that caused me to be so bad and evil. But most of all, Mr. Boyle and I decided that maybe there was a way for us to tell the world that if there are people out there with these disorders, maybe they can get some help before they end up being hurt or hurting someone. I think the trial did that.